Well, now a completely new style of news programme. An up-to-the-minute analytical look at today's world events, presented by Peter Sissons, Trevor MacDonald and Sarah Hogg. You're watching Channel 4. The time now is exactly 7 o'clock.
Mrs. Thatcher plans her biggest ever public spending squeeze. America will vote against Britain in the UN vote on the Falklands. Mr. Scargill's allegations of pit closures put the coal board on the defensive. Hello and welcome to ITN's Channel 4 News. Tomorrow we'll be back with the government's plans for what could be election year as outlined at the opening of Parliament. And how well has President Reagan come out of his midterm elections? You've been watching Channel 4 News from ITN.
The Queen in her Christmas message has paid tribute to the armed forces and the merchant navy for their part in what she called the rescue of the Falkland Islanders.
Hello, good evening.
Next this evening we go to the studios of ITN for tonight's edition of the Channel 4 News.
Hello, good evening. The print union dispute. The court orders sequestration.
The former Labour MP, Mr. Tony Benn, has said he believes the party will rally round what's been called the Dream Ticket. That's the end of this Channel 4 news summary from ITN. Our next news is on ITV at 9 o'clock.
The Prime Minister is about to end 3 hours of talks with President Reagan at his Camp David...
Channel 4 News brings you the major events. Live coverage of the signing of the INF Treaty. Exclusive reports from Israel. The close-up on the American election campaign and exposing the dangers of foam-filled furniture. But that's usually where other programs stop. We bring you the background in the fullest reports on the arts, business, politics and science. All the news and much, much more. That's Channel 4 News, each weekday evening at 7 o'clock.
New twist in Spycatcher saga, Robert Maxwell and Scottish papers defy the law lords. Hello, good evening. 2 Scottish newspapers also plan to ignore the injunction because they say it doesn't apply north of the border.
Shooting near Gaddafi's headquarters heightens tension in Tripoli. The Libyan leader fails to appear in public amid suspicion that he's fled the country. Hello, good evening.
The Labour Party's inquiry into the Liverpool district branch has begun.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu has attacked South Africa's latest clampdown on protests about people being detained without trial.
The Pan Am 747, which crashed over Lockerbie in Scotland last week, definitely was deliberately blown up. We'll have more details in Channel 4 News at 7 o'clock.
That was a news report from the studios of ITN.
Says the current inflation increases must be stopped. The Cons gold options, a quarter were bought through a Liechtenstein bank. Parker Knoll changes its name as it announces profits up 36%. Good afternoon, I'm Susanna Simons. Welcome to Business Daily.
As freed Britons land in London, the Iraqis say they will never give up Kuwait. Good evening.
Good afternoon. The Foreign Secretary Douglas Hurd has confirmed a
Hello, welcome to this Channel 4 News special on the Gulf War.
Imagine if your morning paper could come alive, bringing you world news reports direct from Washington, Tokyo and London, making you streetwise to get the best deal out of life. A box office opening up the world of entertainment, making sure a small investor and big businessman have the latest figures, sharpening your wits with the countdown masters and giving the kids some fun too. Imagine all this at regular times, plus headlines, travel and weather, and call it the Channel 4 Daily.
Good morning, you're watching the Channel 4 Daily on Monday the 25th of February. The news from around the world. Good morning, you're watching the Channel 4 Daily on Friday the 25th of September. The news from around the world. With his cabinet rocked by the resignation of David Mellor, John Major faces renewed criticism over his policy on Europe in today's emergency foreign affairs debate.
The Iran-Contra scandal returns to haunt President Bush. The man who knew most about it says Bush knew too.
Japan's latest political scandal hots up. The country's most powerful political broker is expected to formally own up that he received over $4 million of dubious money.
John Major faces a renewed assault on his government's policy towards European Union during today's emergency debate on foreign affairs.
How do you define Channel 4 News?
Accessible, enlightening, sharp, news hounds with pedigree, bringing the day's events into focus. Offering a new angle on current issues, with headlines at 7 and 7:30. News daily from the four corners of the globe. This is Channel 4 News. Make a point of watching it.
Denmark votes again. The polls are closing. First indications suggest it is yes. Good evening.
Good evening. That's it from us for now. Goodbye.
Good evening from the White House in Washington, where even as we speak, the White House spokesman is on his feet, battling to save the Clinton presidency.
Good evening. Railtrack has revealed that a safety system fitted in the high-speed train which crashed in West London, killing 6 people, had proved unreliable in trials. That's all from the Channel 4 newsroom. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
UN envoys call Darfur anarchy, while UN ambassadors claim a breakthrough. Good evening. Look at the triumphant pictures of the UN Security Council and you'd think they'd struck an historic peace in Sudan.
Good evening. Israel has denied its forces crossed into Jordan after an ambush by gunmen on one of its patrols near the border. That's it. We're back tomorrow at 7:45. From everyone here, Happy Christmas.
The Foreign Affairs Committee clears Alistair Campbell of sexing up the Iraq weapons dossier, but says the claims on which we went to war remain unproven. Good afternoon. The government is hell-bent this lunchtime on diverting attention from the criticism in this report by the Foreign Affairs Select Committee and instead is demanding an apology from the BBC. That's all for now. We're back at 7 tonight with John, 12 o'clock noon tomorrow, of course. Until then, have a very good afternoon. Good evening. From Boxing Day to New Year's Day, the world has struggled to grasp the sheer scale of what nature has wrought across Asia.
Body parts from dead Sellafield nuclear workers were kept for tests without relatives' consent. Good afternoon. In the next half hour, the Trade and Industry Secretary, Alistair Darling, is expected to announce an independent inquiry. That's all for now. We're back at 7 tonight and again at noon tomorrow. Until then, good afternoon.
How many illegal immigrants entered Britain after border controls were relaxed? The Home Secretary has no idea. Good evening. Theresa May admits it was a breach of national security. Line Syria, Russia and America both in the air, both bombing, but hardly talking as the battle temperature rises.
Looks like a terrorist, if it acts like a terrorist, if it walks like a terrorist, if it fights like a terrorist, it's a terrorist, right?
Good evening at what appears to be a new high watermark in the devastating conflict in Syria.